Praise be Jesus and Mary. The relatives of Jesus in today's gospel passage display what we might best describe as a too human outlook on life, and particularly on the life of man as a religious being. They consider Jesus to be, out of his mind, crazy. They considered it excessive, even to the point of madness. Jesus' total commitment to such tireless preaching and teaching, to such generous service, of others, and healing and performing miracles, exorcisms, and so forth, so much so that he had barely time to eat. No doubt, Jesus' public ministry was relatively brief. It was just a few years or so, but it was amazingly and superhumanly intense. We can expect nothing less from the God-man. Divine zeal set ablaze the heart of Jesus, so much so that he could say, "I am come to cast fire on the earth, and what will I but that it be kindled?" Many saints, following Jesus' example of zeal, their life of piety and devotion, of good works, and of apostolate carried out in an excessive manner, according to some, they also were considered madmen. They could all say with St. Paul, "We are fools for Christ's sake." So all the saints were, in a sense, madmen, mad women. That is, mad with love for God, love for Christ, and love for souls. So they are our models in this holy madness, you could say, that we too need to emulate, imitate. We could think of some examples of this holy madness of the saints. St. Francis of Assisi, to begin with. He was so mad in love for Christ that he wanted to embrace holy poverty, to be poor like Christ, a ragman and madman for Christ. And then St. John Vianney, the Curé of Ars, the parish priest who wouldn't, stop, serving, his parishioners' souls from all parts of France. He wouldn't take a break. St. Padre Pio of Pietrelcina, the humble Capuchin friar, he wouldn't stop, couldn't stop praying his rosary. And then we have the three shepherd children of Fatima, especially St. Jacinto Marto. She couldn't stop offering up sacrifices, for the conversion of poor sinners. Madmen and madwomen? No, they simply refused to be mediocre, lukewarm in the response to Christ's love. So we too must be fools for Christ, never contenting ourselves with a certain status quo of, kind of a minimum, you could say, or acceptable amount of religious piety and spiritual life. It's true, we do need to avoid the artificial, versions of, zeal for the Lord and so forth, flare-ups of enthusiasm, certain fanaticism, especially on the external level, and just a desire to be different, to be considered holy and so forth. We need to avoid that, drawing attention to ourselves. But we do need to avoid putting restrictions, though. Never put restrictions on how much we love our Lord and serve him generously. So we make our own the rule of thumb of St. Bernard. The true measure of loving God is to love him without measure. And that's what the saints did. And may we do so as well. Praise be Jesus and Mary.
Fructum ventris tuum,